How much money do you think came into the firm, on average? It's probably an impossible question to answer, but...
Many thousands of pounds. I know many, well, quite considerable sums passed through my hands that went to them.
In fact, justice caught up with you and you went to prison.
Well, this is it, yes. Well, this is a penalty you pay.
How did they look after you when you were in prison?
Well, when I was away at the time, if I wanted anything inside, because they got the firm inside as well as outside, of course, if I was short of anything, or if I wanted anything done, like one time a person that did turn me over outside while I was still inside, if you understand what I mean. And of course I sent a message out, and the person that did turn me over was turned over himself by the members of the firm.
You mean beaten up?
Oh, so yeah, severely.
So how was discipline maintained in the firm?
Well, discipline was maintained in various aspects. I myself was disciplined once.
How?
Well, as I say, through business and everything else. I was in my office and they come up to see me. According to Reggie, I wasn't doing things right and that the money wasn't coming in quick enough. I argued with him. Through the argument, I took a slap round the face and pushed into the chair.
Yes, you were slapped by Reggie?
Yes.
You're a big man. You can presumably look after yourself. What did you do?
Well, what could I do? I mean, I know bigger men than me that bow down to them.
If you were slapped by the twins, you didn't slap back?
Oh, nobody did. I've yet to see men who ever come up. There's only one man I know that did retaliate, but of course they got him in the end, and they cut him to pieces.
The twins' pension, if you did any business with them, if you actually went on a bit of business and there was money involved, you got a slice of that. Plus I could eat and drink for nothing, and I could get my clothes made to measure next to nothing. If you needed a car, you just went to a car site and frightened the governor and pulled one off the front for a couple of weeks and run it into the ground. Hardly any expenses. I was then put in charge of collecting the weekly payments from different clubs and places. And from that I would pay out the pensions. I'd be told who to pay, and if somebody was out of favour they wouldn't get paid that week.
Greek guys one day came and started demanding money of the ministers from him, and Ronnie chased him all over Mile End with a sword. And that got about like wildfire, which it does in the East End, and they never got arrested over it, but it stopped the problems.
A gang was beginning to form.
The rumour was floating about the East End that these two young tearaways out of Valence Road was, going into pubs, picking on people, picking on little teams, because the East End and the West End was dotted about with all little teams. Each little area, like the Watley Street mob, you had the Commercial Street mob, you had the Limehouse mob, the Poplar mob, all little mobs, all very handy people.
Gambling was still illegal, but the East End was riddled with spielers, tiny one-room clubs outside the law and ripe for protection. Through the mid-50s, the Krays empire grew to encompass fraud and extortion. Their gang was now known as the Firm.
One night it was packed out, a brick come through the window. Of course, he said, I know it's trouble once a brick comes through your window. There's problems, of course, they're all scattered, wallop. And a guy who was in the club at the time said, Bill, you want to go down and see the twins? Sort this out with you, you're going to have problems. I said, oh, I will. And Ronnie come right out of it, he said, it'd be a pony a week, which them days was a lot of money. £25, a lot of money. Well, Charlie was a joking bloke, very nice fella. In my opinion, never was a villain and never would have been a villain. Reggie, you look at him in his eyes, you smell fear. And fear came on with Ronnie, you know, oozed out of him. He had a smile, almost take it two ways. Either he's smiling at you because you're going to get hurt, or he's smiling at you because he likes you. I mean, Ronnie would be laughing and joking about, all of a sudden, he'd pick on you.
Ronnie was becoming as aggressive as he had been in the ring, even with members of the firm.
I was at the club speaking to George and Alan Dixon, and Ronnie happened to walk in. And I never seen him. Hello, Bill, and he stopped dead, went in his pocket, pulled out a Beretta, went up to Dixon, and Dixon was about 6'3". Ronnie was about as tall as me, I suppose, about 5'9", 5'10". Put the gun to his head and bang, bang, pulled the trigger twice, and nothing happened. I thought it was a joke. Ronnie took the 2 bullets out. He said, here's your birthday present.
On the 5th of March 1969, both Ronnie and Reggie Kray were found guilty of the charges brought against them.
I'm not going to waste words on you. In my view, society has earned a rest from your activities, and I recommend that you be held for at least 30 years.
I wasn't surprised at all. I expected. They said they would get 30 years. They told the barrister, they told the screws in prison in Brixton they would get 30 years, and they did.
Aunt Violet, myself and Mum was in the kitchen and we was listening to the wireless, and when it came on that they got 30 years, you know, we was dumbstruck, really. We couldn't believe it, like, and Aunt Violet looked at Mother and she said, oh, I think they've made a mistake. She said, I'm sure they have. She said, maybe they'll say later, like, it's not so long.
It amazes me that a gang that was so badly organized, badly thought out, badly managed, could be so successful. The only way it worked was because their public relations was brilliant.
I feel they were a part of the 60s, like the minicar and Twiggy and other things. You know, they were a part of it.
Billy Hill and Jack Spot had a sort of notoriety, but they hardly promoted themselves, and the other notorious East End villains, Burke and Hare, went about their murdering fairly quietly, and Jack the Ripper may have left a note, but he was hardly exactly photographed with royals.
They attracted people to them. You know, people who they should look up to finished up looking up to them, sort of thing. And Ronnie, he was his own man, you know. Nobody was going to tell him what to do. He was the boss.
He was much more a gangster for the thrill of being dominant and powerful rather than money. And perhaps this was expedited by his mental condition that took pleasure in violence, and of course this was a factor in their ultimate downfall.
What's special about the Kray twins compared to any other gangsters is simply that they were twins. I don't think there'll ever be criminals like them again. They're like Romulus and Remus. It was only the existence of the other that made the one.